Hey everyone, welcome to the Dashboard Canteen, the podcast where we explore how data shapes the way we work, decide and grow. I'm your host, David Druckmann, and today we're diving into a topic that's transforming how organizations make decisions, AI that actually pays the bills. Joining me is Jane Smith, Field Chief and Data AI Officer at ThoughtSpot, an upcoming leader in developing modern business intelligence solutions. At Shift, we know about reporting, and one of the main reasons why we're working with ThoughtSpot is their expertise with full natural language reporting. We're here to unpack what natural language reporting really means, why it's more important than ever, and what businesses need to consider when adopting it. So, welcome, Jane. Everybody's talking about AI, but are we really solving the right problems? Today, we're separating AI theatre from AI that transforms your bottom line. So, let's talk a bit about performative versus productive AI. Jane, I think we were talking earlier, we were talking outside of this podcast, what the differences between the two are. But for our listeners, can you distinguish between performative AI and AI that gets to the heart of how businesses make money? Can you give us examples of each, please?
Good morning, David. Great to be here. I definitely can. Performative AI is a big bugbear of mine, as I'm sure it is for many of us who work in this space. So when I think of performative AI, my mind always goes to AI washing. So, if a company is saying we are an AI company now, I think it's fair to ask, that's brilliant. What are you doing? Have you created proprietary models? Have you integrated AI into all your processes and microprocesses? What have you done? Why are you an AI company now? And if the answer is, well, we've bought some Gemini licenses, we've bought some tools, you're not an AI company. That is AI washing, that is performative AI. The second sort of strand of performative AI that I come across a lot is AI wrappers. So wrappers around large language models. Now, these are AI tools. These are tools that bring AI into a business, and they do help. But I do think there's a difference between a tool that is a wrapper around an LLM, a wrapper around ChatGPT or Gemini or something, and a tool that genuinely is AI capability that's doing something different for your organization, something that can't be bought or replicated as easily.
So I think for those clients who who you are, just adding a ChatGPT or Gemini license isn't turning you into an AI company. I get that. Okay. So when a CDO gets the mandate to do AI, what should their first questions be?
So definitely the first question they should not be data questions. They should be getting to the heart of how the business makes money. And what I see a lot of chief data and AI officers who've got this mandate, and what they immediately start to do is go and gather loads and loads of use cases, go through that exercise of evaluating use cases, prioritizing use cases. I think this is something very easy to overcomplicate. I mean, all that people really want from digital investments is, asset efficiency, new revenue, or easier ways to do things. So then you can keep those three categories and you can start to get your first use cases again against them and start from there. That to me is the way to think about it when you have this mandate to bring AI into the business.
So coming off the back of that, are you saying that there's a kind of BI mindset that exists already, and maybe some of our clients are stuck in an old BI mindset when it comes to AI use cases? What does that look like, and what should we be thinking instead?
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it, David, an old BI mindset, because we're in a very new era of technology, but we still think about things in a sort of an old way. And this is something I come across quite a lot. It exemplifies that BI mindset you've mentioned. What are the top 5 AI use cases in pharma? What are the top 5 AI use cases in insurance, in retail, in digital businesses, et cetera, et cetera? And that to me is an example of an old BI mindset. And the AI era, really, it's a chance to reset and think about value instead. So I've got some frameworks that I think about that I'd use instead, to help you find your next killer use case. So the first way that I always think about things that feels more like a new AI way to think about things rather than an old BI way is, what's your business truly good at, and how can AI make it better? Lovely example here. This is from the company Ricoh. It's one of these huge companies that we tend to not know, but it's everywhere around us. And what they originally did things like workplace photocopiers, they do a lot on cameras, printing. But what they decided they were really good at was workplace services, really creating nice environments, ambience for people in their workplace. And they used AI very specifically to make how they provided workplace services better for the people who used them. And that to me was very thoughtful, very judicious way to think about AI. A second framework, I think, is if you could, what questions in your business, if you could answer them, and you could answer them across all your data silos, you could answer them across your structured data, your unstructured and world data, internet data, what would really get to the heart of how your business makes money? So, for example, if you're a pharma company, that question might be, which late stage drugs should we accelerate for production in which country? Then, congratulations, you've got your pilot MCP use case. Maybe we can talk about that later if people are interested. And then a third one that I do a lot, so I'll just do a third one if that's all right, David. I like things in threes, is what can only AI do well? There's no point applying AI to something that many technologies can attack. I heard a great one recently, David. I heard, how can we automate decisions that take 5 meetings? And this example was which vendor contracts to renegotiate. And that to me is how I think about things in the AI era, as opposed to the old BI era, where you'd think, what are my 5 use cases? What works well in pharma? What works well in insurance?
Very clear questions that can really help executives make the right decisions and move forwards, and eliminate kind of use cases where AI is just totally not pertinent. I get that. Okay, thank you very much. Great. How do you help executives think about AI value creation in this new era?
So these conversations are not data conversations. Again, they're business conversations. And we talked about this a little bit in the last podcast, actually, David. What are those, if you're an executive, what are those things you could do for your business that have a hard benefits? So time to insight, great, we all get that, but we want hard benefits. We want to see an increase in, what we sell, right? How we make money. Varies very much by business. So if you're a retail business, even a few, high volume retail business, even a few percentage point uptake on what you sell is going to make a big change to your business. If you are in the finance sector, you probably, fraud detection will be something that it's a problem. It's where you leak a lot of money. So yeah, a percentage change in eliminating that is going to make a difference to your business. So for executives, it's all about the creativity to think, what are the big blocks I'm facing? Where are the big opportunities? And even if it's just a small percentage difference, how can AI really help me attack those? That's how I'd think about it at the exec level.
So you speak about return of investment, and I think we're coming to the real question. It's all about money, I think. So what are the AI applications that actually move the revenue needle versus those that just make nice demos?
So we're going to get a little more detailed here, because obviously the answer is some things that make money, things that help you grow. You want to get very specific, very domain intensive here. If you work in manufacturing, for example, something that's going to help you move the needle probably is very much on your predictive maintenance. So how, you're identifying potential equipment issues before they cause failures, how you're reducing unplanned downtime. That's going to be something that really has a material impact on your ability to make money. If you're an accounts payable part of your company, something around how AI can help innovate across the invoicing lifecycle process, probably that's going to move the needle, right? That's going to help you. If you are a digital business, getting more customers through your buying journey and getting more customers to click buy, that is something AI is going to help you with in terms of models that can help get more people through the site. So I'd be thinking at that deeper level, not necessarily at your business level, but at your business domain level. What are these things that are going to make a difference?
Thank you very much. Really clear, really clear. Very good examples. So specifically, we have experience at Shift with some predictive maintenance and other supply chain issues, and we have a few clients that work specifically on supply chain. So thank you for those very clear responses. So we're talking about moving that revenue needle, and I think we're turning around that subject. And perhaps I'm putting a lot of pressure on you. I know I'm asking you lots of questions. We're very curious because of your expertise. So how do you measure the business impact of AI initiatives in analytics?
I had a lot of experience in this where I was able to do this very easily. I worked in a digital business and it was wonderful because, you could show so easily, well, we have this many customers coming through the buying journey. We have this much uptick in revenue. We have this much increase to conversion. So in a business like that, it's very clear to show things like that. And in many traditional businesses where you don't have as much sight of the end customer, or you're not as close to them, of course, it's much more difficult. So I'm going to take a slightly different line here. And I'm going to say, and we talked about this in our last podcast, David. What is the size of your analytics team compared to your overall business? And of course, businesses are different sizes. So we're going to use ratios. If your entire analytics team, so your data scientists, your analytics engineers, if you have maybe the ratio between that team and your business is, I don't know, 1 to 20, it's quite low. You have quite a large analytics team comparative to your organization. That's quite a cost to you. Because what you want is you want to be able to grow that business without also growing the analytics resource. So if you have a ratio that is 1 to 20, you might want to look at that. And if you want, so of course, if you're not in a digital business and you're farther away from the end customer, it's going to be harder to measure the business impact. So what I'm going to say is you look at your analytics team, your data resource, and I'm going to put everybody, your data scientists, analytics engineers, data engineers, analysts, and we're going to say, do you have quite a high number of those people, quite a big data team comparative to the size of your organization, or is it quite low? Is it quite small? If you have a ratio of maybe, let's say a best practice ratio of 1 data person to every 40 business people, then your AI initiatives are doing well. Your data initiatives are doing well. But if you have to have quite a large team comparative to the size of your business, I think you can say that the impact of your initiatives are not quite where you want them to be.
Okay, fair enough. Very clear. The ratio is important, and I think one of the takeaways from that question is effectively keep a hard eye on the ratio. That's very interesting. Okay, yeah. So that's very clear. So for organizations looking to implement AI in their analytics stack, what should they build in-house versus what they should buy? Again, a difficult question.
Yeah. And this can vary. Often in tech companies, there'll be a lot of pride around creating a lot of your own, as much of your own in-house technology, proprietary applications as possible. Whether that's always necessary is open for discussion, I guess. The way I think about it is, in many companies, if you really wanted to, you could probably build SAP yourself. It's just probably not the best use of your time. As a company, you want to focus on what you're really, really good at doing, and then the things that you can buy easily and that also are not going to affect your competitive advantage. Those are the things you should buy. One thing I think that you can buy without affecting the competitive advantage of your business is the analytics, is natural language query analytics. Because this it gives you more, it helps you to run your business. It's a co-pilot for your business. You can very easily see the things that you need to see. Your business users can ask the questions they need to ask in natural language, and you don't dilute the value of your product. You don't compromise your competitive advantage. All you do is you give yourself the ability via tools that are proven in the market to look into your business. So that for me is an absolute buy it, don't create it in-house.
Agreed. Yeah, I think we have at Shift, we have one of our clients who's literally writing their own analytics, and effectively that kind of tech debt, not only is it very expensive to put in place, there's also the maintenance cost that goes along with it as well. And I'm supposing that a lot of organizations that specifically dedicate themselves, I think ThoughtSpot's a very good example, dedicating themselves to natural language analytics, they have experience and they're not spending money where it's not warranted. And I think they're producing really appropriate technological solutions that are easy to buy, easy to put in place, as opposed to going through that very arduous task of developing in-house something. Impressive though it might be, but it's also very expensive. What is ThoughtSpot's philosophy on embedding AI in self-service analytics? Perhaps that's something that we see quite a lot in our clients. We see a lot of them going, yeah, well, we want to put into place something self-service. What is your philosophy on that?
So you will not be shocked to hear, David, that we are proponents of this. Our whole business is about bringing the AI and the BI together. And I truly mean to bring it together, not to wrap one around the other. When you bring the AI and the BI together in ThoughtSpot, what you are doing every time a business user searches for something in natural language, ThoughtSpot is returning a highly deterministic SQL. It is a tokenized search. And this is because of the AI proprietary, knowledge we've been building out for the last 12 years. And when you get a deterministic output, you have zero hallucinations, and you also don't have a black box. Every time someone asks a question, they say, why are my customers churning in Spain so much in the last quarter? The answers will be given, but also the tokens that were inputted and outputted will be given as well. So you can trace, it's fully traceable, fully auditable. You can see exactly what was asked and why it was returned. Now, that is not the case if you buy something that is a wrapper around an LLM. So a tool that is a wrap around an LLM will take the natural language, that will send it to something like Gemini, to ChatGPT, and the answer that is returned to the user will not be deterministic. It will be stochastic. It will be probabilistic. And when we know ourselves, when we type questions into ChatGPT, if you type the same question twice, you'll get a different answer, because it is giving you a stochastic or a probabilistic output. And those are great for when we search ChatGPT to find the answers to questions we need and the secrets of the universe. But when you are searching through your business data, you probably want something a lot more explainable, something that is not going to hallucinate, and something that you can track for auditing. So that is our philosophy.
Very clear. Absolutely spot on, I think, because it's very, very easy. I think for all of our clients, one shouldn't forget that large language models, the LLMs that we are familiar with, such as ChatGPT and Gemini, their first use case was translating. So I think when we're translating from one language to another, the responses can be slightly different based on the context. And to begin with, very literature orientated and not data orientated, which is, I think, the capital problem that I think ThoughtSpot, I think you guys have been working on for many years now. And I think the deterministic approach, reducing and actually, like you say, you're eliminating completely hallucinations, which is key to producing very accurate, clear, traceable data. I think that's very, very, very important. Thank you very much for that. That's very. I didn't know you had I didn't know you'd managed the hallucinations down to zero. I think that's very key and very, very important.
Yeah, especially if you're in a highly regulated industry, right? If you're in finance, wealth management, big pharma, we work with all those clients, but you want that security, you want that safety.
Thank you. That's very reassuring for our clients. I think we're coming to the end of our episode, but Jane, you're beginning to know me now. Before you go, do you have any mythbusters or any common misconceptions about modern analytics?
Yes, I hear a lot, and I think ThoughtSpot might have said this as well. Dashboards are dead. And I'm going very something that you said, and it's actually something that's got a lot of attention. We say it tongue in cheek. Actually, I'm going to say that dashboards are not dead. Many of us, we are very visual learners. We are visual workers, and dashboards are great. It's brilliant to see something visualized. And, we know this in ThoughtSpot. We love it. So when you ask your questions in natural language, we give answers in natural language. We also ping up the charts. We also create the charts. We create the visuals. So I'm going to say that dashboards are not dead. Dashboards are not zombies. Dashboards live.
Thank you. Very clear. Thank you very much. So that's it for today's episode of the Dashboard Canteen. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, share with a colleague, and stay tuned. Jane and I will be back soon with more stories from the front lines of data-driven businesses. Until then, stay curious, stay data savvy.